I've come to hate my boss.
Quarantine Hearts is back with you when we're in a different space because we have the space that we usually are at taken up.
Well, also, we thought we'd show off this Christmas tree as it is Christmas time.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need a late day coffee sip here. Snow day. I need a late day
Early
coffee.
Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about the third album. It's technically the second self-titled album they had, Velvet Underground and Nico and the Velvet Underground here.
Skipping White Heat.
This was released in 1969, and it's the self-titled Velvet Underground album, the first album without John Cale.
This is the version without the... in the box.
What's that?
This is the version in the box.
Yeah, well, as with all the other ones, we have two copies because I have this Sunday's mono box set. This is a mono copy, which, side note, this album was not released in mono. This was a promotional mono mix, which I don't really know the full scoop with. Hey, Ginger.
Hi.
I don't know the full scoop. There was no mono mix originally of this album, and I don't know if this is a true mono mix or not, but it feels like a bit of a gimmick. In any case.
Yes.
First album with Doug Yule.
Doug Yule.
Later on, Lou Reed would kind of grow frustrated with Doug Yule. We'll get to that later when we talk about the interesting...
When we talk about the Doug Yule record.
Yes.
The last Velvet Underground album, which is barely a Velvet Underground album. But in any case, this is the first one with Doug Yule, and I didn't know for the longest time that he actually sings lead on some songs, including Candy Says. He sounds a little like Lou Reed.
He does. I didn't realize
He's got a
that
very...
was him.
It's like a softer...
Yeah.
His voice is actually... It's like nicer than Lou Reed's, but...
Apples and
Speaking
oranges.
of Candy Says, there's 3 songs that they have that are Says. Candy Says, Stephanie Says, and Lisa Says.
Yep, I know, they like that. This is the original... The pressing on MGM Records, which was Verve was a subsidiary of MGM. I'm not sure why the shift, really. It's really the same company. So we have to talk about the different mixes of this album, which is sort of the key.
Candy said, let it be good. Linger on your pale blue eye. Help me in my weakness. Well, I'm beginning to see the light. I've been blinded, but that's the difference.
Candy Screen Rappers, Silk Screen Fantastic, Requiring Memories, But Lovely.
But if you close the door.
Now this album, first of all, was very different than White Light, White Heat,
Yeah.
right? Much more quiet.
Yeah, it's not crude at all.
No, it's sedated kind of, it's
Like
subtle.
the first 2 albums, those are crude.
Yeah, this is like a pretty album. There's no noisy experiments really. There's
Yeah.
elements at times, but
Yeah, like the 2 songs Beginning to See the Light and What Goes On.
well, I would say the Murder Mystery is sort of
Yeah.
the weirder of the songs on this.
Mm-hmm.
But so this was mixed by Lou Reed personally. The first edition, like this one, is what they call the closet mix. Now
Yeah.
it's called that because Sterling Morrison, the guitarist, said it sounds like this was mixed in a closet, and that kind of stuck with it.
I'm gonna
And it does.
take it that wasn't a compliment.
I don't know. Maybe not. But it does sound like that. It sounds like it's very underwater in a nice way, muted, sort of like, I don't want to say bland. It's sort of
It's a little compressed.
quieted, beautiful. So
Yeah, the last song, After Hours, sounds like definitely is in a closet. They recorded that one.
yeah, a lot of the songs, like all the guitar tones, are very sort of like they sucked out a lot of the treble, and very soft. But so most of the first U.S. pressings of this are all closet mix, and then internationally, most of it was done by the director of engineering, who's listed on here as Valentin, or known as the Valentin mix. His mix is what most people have heard, actually. All the later U.S. pressings are the Valentin mix. The UK original mix is Valentin.
Valentin.
The Lou Reed closet mix was not widely distributed, but that's what this is.
Yeah, well,
And
yes.
What about this cover?
There's another 45th anniversary deluxe edition, right?
Yeah, they did deluxe editions of all the albums.
Mm-hmm.
What about this cover?
Wait, did they do a deluxe edition of Squeeze?
No, not that I know of. This is Doug Yule over here, kind of looking a little bit like Phil Spector, if you ask me.
Really? Oh yeah.
What record is Lou Reed holding? I forgot to, I meant
That's
to look
Lou
that up.
Reed,
Or is that a
right?
magazine?
And that's also Lou Reed?
No, that's Doug Yule.
Doug Yule.
Doug Yule.
Doug Yule.
This is a beautiful album. It's so good. I love it. And as I said, there's the different mixes. There's Some Kind of Love is a completely different performance on the Closet mix and the Valentin mix. So if you've heard both out versions, it's a completely different take. Everything else is a different mix. Like
Yeah.
What Goes On has the organ is a lot louder, I think, in this. There's other different elements of it.
Oh
The
yeah.
main
there's
thing is Some
organ
Kind
in
of
that.
Love is completely different performance.
Yeah, and in Spotify, Pale Blue Eyes is known as one of the
Oh yeah, that was the number one most played song.
yeah.
What else can we say? I'm Set Free is a really great song. That Brian Eno would do a version of that. I remember later on, only a few years ago. Pale Blue Eyes, another. There's so many nice moments on this album. It's great, like late afternoon listen. It's so different. Like you're just talking about like 2
Yeah.
years, and there's something like this. It's like really something else. What do you think about it?
Well, it's like different if you get to
Mhm.
hear the Velvet Underground's first 2 albums.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, what a progression. What a change.
Yeah, we may get things a bit louder on the next album.
Not really. The next album loaded is like a rock album. This is sort of like their folky album. What other song? Murder Mystery is a really cool. That's a long one, but that has all 4 members doing different vocal things.
Yeah, and
After Hours, of course, is the debut of Mo Tucker singing, which is a great song. Beautiful.
and
She has a very childlike voice.
there's also what did I miss? Jesus is
Right?
also a single B-side of
What Goes On, yeah.
What Goes On.
Yeah, that was a single. Nothing happened with that. And yeah, that was the only single they released.
Yeah, so we had the first song was Candy Says, which is it's really mellow, right?
Yeah, that's all about
Starting
the model, right?
Starting off with the first
Candy Darling.
Candy Darling.
Candy Darling. Starting off with a very mellow
Thank you, Miss
song.
Cameron.
Yes. Cameron, always the
She's got the facts
Yes,
straight.
she
I
has.
can't remember anything.
I was
You know-
reading about her in Just Kids.
This is like, God, I feel like it's another 10 Bananas. These are perfect albums. Toby.
Toby.
He should listen to this, Grandpa Toby.
Grandpa Toby.
I don't know if he's familiar with this. Or,
Try
It's
it.
familiar.
Try this one,
Yes.
Grandpa. It's not as loud.
It's certainly not, and I would say a little more palatable. But this is still unlike anything else. Like the Murder Mystery is a weird. The way it shifts is totally strange.
We're beginning to see the lights more of a rocker.
That's
That
just
one
that's a rock song.
Yeah, that feels like Lou Reed. Sort of like it feels like the least rehearsed. I'd say. What do you think? Is this another 10 Bananas for you?
Well, I gotta talk about some other stuff first.
Yeah.
What did I miss? There's What Goes On, Some Kind of Love, Pale Blue Eyes, Jesus, all that stuff. The first side is mostly mellow stuff except What Goes On, right?
Yeah, well, we went through that.
And there's only basically 3 songs on this album that are not really mellow.
It's an album that like wastes there's nothing wasted on this. I mean,
Yes. I can't even remember Some Kind of Love by now.
I love the guitar, and I think Doug Yule's awesome on this. Doug Yule, I don't know if he has a lot to do with why it sounds this way, and there's no John Cale doing his skronky viola or anything like that.
No, that's only on the first album.
Yeah, well, the second one too.
Really? There's stuff in For That Way? And I didn't hear that if there was.
Oh yeah. That's the story of my life.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
Nice song.
It's
That's-
goofy. That's a goofy song.
That's the story.
Goofy?
of my life. Yeah.
Right, it's really quick. And so is After
But
Hours.
it's mainly Lou Reed singing all the vocals except Candy Says it's Doug Yule, and they all sing on the Murder Mystery.
The Murder
There's also
Mystery-
another says in that song.
Yeah, Murder
Jimmy.
Mystery
Jimmy
is...
says somebody.
Oh yeah. Murder Mystery is 9 minutes.
Or Billy.
And it takes up most of the second side. And
8:35.
Yes, 8:35. And the Wikipedia says 8:55. But what's weird is it says 4:52 for What Goes On, and look
Oh.
at that record.
Well, right, because
$3.35.
you brought up a good point. The closet mix is a different mix. It's a different edit too.
Oh yeah.
What goes on is shorter on this than on the Valentin. It's longer.
Right. And
So there's one other song I think that's different. Otherwise, it's similar. But the closet mix overall is a
Wait.
different mix.
one other song that's different, which is what?
I forget.
Right.
Definitely What Goes On is Some Kind of Love, and then there's I think a third one that has a different mix to it, or I'm sorry, a different. Yeah, the whole thing is a mix differently than the Val.
Yes, and you guys, you told me that you had something to do with the song After Hours.
Oh yeah, me and Mama one time covered that song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it?
This when we got married.
Oh yeah, and
All right.
it's just Maureen Tucker singing and playing. Well, no,
She's not playing guitar.
yeah, it's someone else playing acoustic guitar. But the last thing I wanted to say is that there's a 37-minute version of Sister Ray on the live album.
Yeah, there's a deluxe 45th edition of this that has all these extra things. It has like the aborted 1969 album, which we'll talk about.
Yes, and we were looking at this Pitchfork post, and it said there's a version of Sister Ray that's 37 minutes long, and I was like, what?
That sounds great. 37 minutes of Sister Ray.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
I gotta hear that. Let's try inserting in it.
I said that I couldn't hit sideways. Ooh, just like Sister Ray said.
We should put all 37 minutes in.
You get deblocked for that.
Yeah, but Sister Ray's part of the last album. You know, this album is sort of like where they were really touring a lot, and they started to become like more like a rock band. I think Doug Yule kind of helped them shape just being a rock band and sort of more of a traditional setting. They were becoming more of a live act, I think. So,
And
in any case, we got to wrap this up.
yeah, let's 10 bananas on this.
10 bananas. Yeah,
Why did you say shakies?
that makes sense. We used to do Neil Young Shakies.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for watching Quarantine Hearts.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, next we have Loaded. So, bye.